Hey everybody, welcome to EduMatch Tweet and Talk number 19. So follow along with us on the Google Plus Hangout. Right now we are live at bit.ly/tweettalk19. We are also doing a live Twitter chat, so that is with the hashtag EduMatch. Speaking of EduMatch, then sign up to be our featured person of the day. If you haven't already, we will just tweet out some information about you, help build those connections all around the world. So definitely check that out. So before we get started, I just wanted to give a huge shout out to Crystal Morgan in Texas for this Skyline Raiders shirt that she gave me. And I just have to say that being an English/tech teacher, I have not had a lot of experience with math technology. But at the T3 conference last March, then she actually showed me a whole lot about math technology and helped me take risks as an educator with that technology. So that was a little segue into our topic of the evening. So I'm just going to go ahead and kick it over to our moderator, Leslie Fagin.
Hi, thank you, Sarah. As Sarah said, tonight's topic is about getting teachers to take risks with technology. I'm going to call myself new, even though this is year 2 of being an instructional tech coach. And as I've gone into the schools, I've noticed that there are a lot of teachers who are reluctant to use technology. So what I'd like to do is get some different perspectives on how you get teachers to use technology. So if everybody could, and I'd like to start to my very far left with, I think that says Brian. If you could go ahead and introduce yourself and tell a little bit about you, and then we'll jump in with our questions.
Sure, absolutely. Thank you, Leslie. My name is Brian Smith. I am a one-to-one integration specialist in Fort Worth, Texas. I manage the laptop program, as all our high school students have a device for themselves that they have 24-hour access to. So my job is to handle not only hardware and software, but also handle the professional development for the teachers and administration.
Thank you, Brian. Okay, thank you. Rachelle, if you could introduce yourself.
Sure, my name is Rachelle Wooten. I'm a digital learning specialist in Fort Bend ISD, which is a suburb southwest of Houston, Texas.
Rachel?
Hi, EduMatch watchers. My name is Rachel Pierson. I am currently serving as a STEM teacher in a small southern Minnesota district. Prior to that, I was at another small school. It was a Lutheran school, and I served there as a classroom teacher and the technology coordinator, integration specialist, kind of all bundled into one. So it was a lot of work, but it was really fun, and I loved it.
Thank you. Shana?
Hi everybody, I'm Shana White. I'm in Gwinnett County. Valerie, we're in the same county. I'm a middle school technology coordinator, new to the job in August. Prior to that, I was a health and physical education teacher for 11 years.
Tammy?
Hi, my name is Tammy Neil. I am a intro to technology and game design teacher in Branford, Florida. And I volunteer after school to help teachers learn how to integrate technology.
Wow, you're busy. Valerie?
Hi, I'm Valerie Lewis, and I'm a special education 10th and 11th grade language arts teacher in Gwinnett County, Georgia.
Thank you. Knikole, can you introduce yourself, please?
Hello, everyone. My name is Knikole. I'm a math and science instructional coach in Lancaster, Texas. It's right outside of Dallas.
Thank you. And Sarah, would you like to tell us, I think you're like the biggest edge-celebrity I know, but if you could tell us a little bit about yourself, please.
Hi everybody, my name is Sarah Thomas, and I am a high school technology education teacher in the great state of Maryland.
Thank you. Okay, let's just go ahead and jump right into our first question. How do you get teachers to take risks using technology? Who would like to answer that first?
I can say how I do it on my campus. As far as it is with math and science, my job, I meet with teachers twice a week to discuss pedagogy as well as their content. So I try to infuse those meetings with some tech tool, and then during development time, they have to plan to use what I gave them. So I just try to practice it for them, give them time to plan to use it, and then follow up with them and go to their classrooms and help them if they need help.
Are they at all reluctant, or are they just kind of, they take your advice and they jump right in and they use it?
I have one, this is the first year, but I have one teacher that is very reluctant with everything that I give him. So I have had to do like some one-on-one with him, and I finally just had to go into his classroom and model it for him, kind of do a gradual release where I modeled for him, and then we did it together. I just told him, you're working too hard. Give the kids something that they enjoy, where you can, hone in on a small group of students. And once I taught for him and then taught with him and then kind of stepped out, he said, you were right. So sometimes it does take some hand holding and pulling them along.
Thank you, Nicole. Anybody else have some words of wisdom they'd like to share about getting teachers involved with using technology?
I'll jump in here, Leslie, if nobody else is going to go. I guess my biggest tip for teachers who are reluctant is to be patient with them. And I know, Nicole, you talked a lot about this and guiding and helping your teachers learn to use the technology first before they really jump in. One of the biggest things I learned from a teacher I was working with, she said, "Thank you for being so patient with me as I was learning through this process." I think especially veteran teachers who have not used tools like this before are reluctant because it's just scary. It's something new. And I think patience is a big key in working with the teachers that aren't familiar with the tools.
I like that. I'm sorry, go ahead, Rachelle.
Yeah, I was just going to say that one of the other things I think has got to be important, because I know I see this on some of the campuses that I serve, but that it has to be relevant. You almost can't just be teaching a technology tool just for the sake of teaching a technology tool. I mean, like, how does it fit? Where does it fit? Why is it a part of the good pedagogy practice, like Nicole was mentioning? I think technology's kind of gotten a bad rap, especially tech coaches. We've had tech coaches in our district for years, but I think for so long, so many teachers have just thought that we were almost interrupting their instructional time when it was time to make their trip to the computer lab. But I think now it's shifting, and so it's a great, really, time to be a coach, because I'm starting to see, as long as I make it relevant, even those that tend to be somewhat hesitant or reluctant, they're going to be more open. Like, just this past week, our math teachers were working on rotations, reflections, transformational geometry. And so we found a Photoshop project that dealt with creating a digital mandala. And so in showing them how to create this mandala, we're also talking about rotations and reflections and transformations. Teachers loved it. They ate it up, but they saw the connection and the relevance for why they were doing a Photoshop project. It wasn't just off the beaten path, you know what I mean? So it was very purposeful and relevant for them.
These are very good points, and I'm over here taking notes so that when I get back to my schools, I can make sure that I'm being patient and making the connections with the relevance with what they're doing in their classroom. Valerie, would you like to share with us on how you get teachers, because you're like very good at getting people involved. How can we get teachers to use technology more?
Okay. I think besides everyone hearing my big mouth down the hallway teaching and figuring out what in the world is she up to down there, I think they see the engagement of the students. We're typically the rebel classroom. They know I'm the teacher that's going to ask for forgiveness rather than permission. And so I think when other teachers are like, well, what were you doing with your kids today? And I explain that to them, then they're just like, well, how did you find those people? Or how did you make that happen? And then so they just natural curiosity, they want to know, and I kind of share. I invite them to come out to ed camps. Matter of fact, one of the teachers in my school yesterday, we went to Ed Camp Cobb, and that was his first experience with Ed Camp Cobb. It was his first tweet that he put out, and he was just like, man, this is the kind of stuff you're doing on your free time? And I'm like, Yeah, I mean, it's what we should be doing, just naturally learning so that we can come back and be better at what we're doing in the classroom and creating better opportunities for our kids. And he was just so impressed, and now I think I kind of got him hooked a little bit. And so I think just slowly, just, don't overwhelm anyone. So I think Rachel, Nicole, Rachelle all said it best. We can't inundate them with things. We have to be patient with them. Everyone's not willing to jump afraid like we might be able to jump afraid, but we just kind of have to hold their hands and introduce them slowly to one thing at a time and just be a support and show them the meaningfulness and the relevancy of what they're learning, and slowly but surely we'll bring them all into the other side.
Good answer. I think what I'd like to do is jump to our next question, and if you've not answered, if you want to jump in with the next one. There are a lot of districts who love to spend money on the latest and greatest of absolutely everything. Should teachers be forced to use the technology that's part of a district initiative, or should they have the choice, yes, I want to do this, or no, I don't? So I'd like some thoughts about that.
I'll jump in with that if that's okay. That I work with, I always tell them, work with what you're comfortable with. Our motto is to meet teachers where they are at. There is a comfort level when they one-to-one for lessons. I also have them submit to me what it is that they want to learn using the device that they're most comfortable with. So it gives me time to actually make sure that I give relevant lessons, relevant material for them to use the technology that they feel most comfortable with, like I said. And then I have them submit something to me showing me that they actually are learning what it is that we are going over on our weekly lessons. And then so not only am I modeling for them how to use it in the classroom, I'm also modeling how they can actually pass it forward to another teacher.
Thank you, Brian. Anybody else like to share what they think about teachers being forced to use district-wide initiatives?
Yeah, I'd like to tackle that. And I guess I almost want to be clear or make sure I'm talking about the right thing, because I know there are some things that are district-wide initiatives, other things, I don't know, like right now we're going with a whole new web page for every campus. And what I can say as a specialist and a parent that I appreciate about this is that the district is saying, look, we've had all kinds of different web pages out there. We need everybody to now have a consistent look so that when a parent, no matter what child, no matter what campus their child attends, there's kind of a consistent look to where you can find information, contact folks, and that kind of thing. They want uniformity and consistency. And so to me, even though we've had teachers creating Weeblies, if I have one child at middle school with 6 or 7 different teachers, that may be 7 different Weeblies that I'm going to have to remember, curate, you know what I mean, favorite, put somewhere, as opposed to one website where I could go and almost get all of that information. So to me, the move to something like that makes good sense. You know what I mean? And while it may be different than what a teacher may actually want or appreciate, to me, it's in the best interest of all stakeholders. You see what I mean? So I kind of look at that as I think everybody should get on that kind of bandwagon. I do think there should be some choice with some things, but when you're looking at a district of our size, we have about 70,000 students, over 3,000 teachers, over 70 campuses. I just think uniformity and consistency is really valuable in something like that at the district level.
I can definitely agree with a district that size. In our district, in the last 2 years, we've gone to using Google Apps. A lot of our teachers were all in love with Microsoft, and we're getting some pushback with, do I have to use Google? I really like Microsoft Excel. So we're trying to find a happy medium. Just curious to see how people are doing it in other places. There are other things that our district is saying everybody has to use. So Shana, do you have an opinion on district-wide initiatives?
Sure. In our district, Valerie can attest to this, the big thing is our LMS. Teachers are starting to be required to use that LMS, and we've had a lot of pushback. And the big reason why is because there was not enough support and training on how to use the LMS. So our district is kind of backpedaling now, because they're the whole chicken before the egg or cart before the horse. You want teachers to use this, but you didn't properly educate them on how and the effectiveness and how it can transform your classroom. I see the point, and I completely agree with Rachelle, because our district is large too. We're the largest in the state of Georgia. We have 170,000 students in our schools. So I think the uniformity is key. But I remember just the metaphor that somebody gave me about, even with pushback from teachers, is you're going to have 3 types of teachers in your building. You're going to have the sailboats, you're going to have the tugboats, and you're going to have the anchors. And my job as a instructional technology coach in my school is to get those sailboats and those tugboats together, because the sailboats can pull those tugboats towards technology and open to new ideas, whereas the anchors, you can't change those people's mindsets. Most of those teachers, they've done it that way for years and years and years, and they don't want to change. And so I feel like it's my job to make sure those tugboats who need that extra patience, who need that extra guidance, get them tied to somebody who's that sailboat, like a Valerie, somebody who's in the school doing all this innovative stuff. Get those teachers that are on the fence with that sailboat instead of that anchor, because you don't want that tugboat being pulled down by an anchor and saying, oh, I don't want to do it that way because da-da-da-da-da-da. You want them to say, oh, wow, all these possibilities are available to me. All these things are available to me technology-wise or whatever, pedagogy-wise, anything. You want to kind of get those tugboats moved to the right and not to the left, because if they get moved with those anchors, it's a lot tougher sledding for you as an instructional leader in your building. But I think district-wide initiatives, if you're talking about uniformity, I think it's huge. But I think if you do not properly educate everyone, then it can become a hot mess. And I would say, and Valerie might can attest to this, in our LMS has been around forever, but they did not properly educate teachers on using it. So now we're backtracking and trying to play catch up, and teachers are frustrated because it's starting to be tied to their evaluations, how they use our LMS, but they were not properly educated on how to use our LMS. So I think it's a bit unfair when you do those district initiatives without the proper education in advance.
Thank you. I can totally agree with that. Education is definitely key. What I would like to do is, as we get ready to wrap this up, if anybody has any parting comments that they would like to share with anybody in our viewing audience or on Twitter, please take the time, and then that's going to be our conversation for this evening. I'm going to just go ahead and say I can appreciate what everybody has said, making sure that people are trained when you're rolling out technology, having uniformity, being patient. These are the things that we want. We're expecting the teachers to do this with our students, so we should do the same when we're training the adults in our buildings. Anybody else have some closing comments for our audience?
I'm going to jump in here. I think that it's important that we help. I provide voluntary time after school because teachers want to learn new things. They don't want to learn those things while they're in front of their students. That fear of being wrong in front of a student still permeates our veteran teachers. It's how they were brought up, is that the teacher is the expert in the room. So providing a little bit of safety, a safe place where there's no students, and the time for them to practice is huge in my area.
Thank you, Tammy. If nobody else has anything to say, I'd like to thank everybody and turn it back over to Sarah to wrap things up for us.
All right. Well, first of all, I wanted to say thank you so much to Leslie for moderating such an awesome discussion. Thank you to everyone on the panel for all of your great insight. This has really been a rich, rich, rich conversation. For all of those who are watching or participating on Twitter, then thank you also for your great insight. This Twitter chat will be storified, and this Google Hangout will be stripped of video and placed on the iTunes store. So come back next week. We're going to be having a debate that I feel will probably be a lively one. It's going to be the discussion of homework versus no homework. So hopefully we will have many of you on the panel sign up to join us again, as well as some of you who are on the Twitter chat. So anyone who wants to can be a panelist. Just leave a comment on the Google Hangout page, which is bit.ly/tweettalk20. So it's a monumentous occasion next weekend. Also, if you have a big educational idea, then feel free to drop off a 30-second video at bit.ly/bigeduidea. Our Facebook page is brand spanking new, bit.ly/edumatch Facebook. We also have an Instagram page that has the same user handle as our Twitter account. So hopefully y'all check us out there. Also, if you want to subscribe to our podcast, and please do so at bit.ly/edumatchpodcast. So that is it for tonight. So thank you all so much for joining us, and hope to see you again next week. All right, have a great one.